Welcome to the Private Wireless podcast series from Nokia, bringing you the insights that really matter around enterprise digital transformation and wireless solutions. The series covers technology comparisons, deployment best practices, total cost of ownership assessments, analyst reviews and reports to help you make the decisions you need for your business. So keep listening. Today we'll hear from Mark Jadal, Head of Marketing for Mining at Nokia Enterprise, as he chats to Will Townsend, Vice President and Principal Analyst at More Insights and Strategy. They talk through some of the key trends, challenges and opportunities tied to the mining segment and how private cellular networking can play an important role.
I'm super excited to get into the subject of mining. The first question for you, Mark, is mining is a very exotic topic for many people, and it's certainly been one of the poster child use cases for private wireless. Can you provide some context behind that for our listeners and viewers?
Of course, Will, and I really love talking about the network challenges and opportunities coming from the mining industry because, like you say, it's exotic and it's distinctly different from any other industry vertical. Just imagine a 300-ton dump truck with wheels which are 2 meters wide, operating driverless in the middle of nowhere, and with a control center sometimes located at hundreds or even 1,000 kilometers away. So you can imagine that worker health and safety are extremely important in such an environment where people, these monster vehicles and giant machines are meeting each other. And then I'm not even mentioning the frequent blasts that are happening inside the pit. And when you go underground, the challenges are even bigger. How do you set up a wireless communication network in an environment with massive rock walls, narrow corridors, a constantly changing layout, and you need to support people that are working in blind areas? And when talking about underground, even the antenna technologies we know may be exotic. Think, for example, of leaky feeders or radiating cables, because you can't just cover a whole underground site with one antenna.
Hey, Mark, this might be pretty obvious, but what's the importance of digital transformation in mining, and can it address the challenges of safety and other issues?
If you just look at the key mining KPIs, these are safety, sustainability, which are pretty obvious, and then productivity, which is often expressed in tons of minerals, and then efficiency, which is the cost per ton. So if you look at these four, this is really guiding, I would say, most of the transformation projects in the mining industry. And actually these three are interconnected because you can't see one independently of another. Suppose there's a safety incident somewhere in the middle of a mine, then they have to halt production. Even stopping production for a few hours means hundreds or thousands of tons, which has its impact on efficiency and on the bottom line. So it's really important that you treat these three parameters as a whole. This is also why digital transformation and automation, of course powered by private wireless, they are bringing real opportunities for mining operations.
Now, you have actually an example that you want to illustrate, kind of double clicking into the numbers, right? So I'm interested to hear that.
Let me give you a concrete example, and it's coming from a private LTE, not 5G yet, but private LTE powered autonomous haulage system deployed in an Australian mine. And actually the mine operator has deployed more than 50 connected trucks, these 300-ton monster trucks, for picking up the ore. First of all, just from an infrastructure point of view, they made a saving of more than 10 million euros by replacing about 150 Wi-Fi trailers by 6 LTE cells on wheels, or cows as they call it. And the results are also quite spectacular. This has resulted in a productivity increase of about 75 hours per year per truck, and as you already understood, the numbers are big in mining. This also results in 1.5 million tons per year extra productivity. And then if you boil this down to the top line, this is a top line growth of 50 million euros per year that can be made just by improving connectivity. And then there is also less disruption of production. This specific operator reported 90% less unplanned stops. Actually, when there's a communication error with the truck can do nothing than decrease its speed or stop because it doesn't know what to do. So 90% less stops, 7% less fuel consumption, because each time that the truck has to accelerate or decelerate, this is consuming extra fuel, same as with your car at home, and also resulting in a better fleet utilization of more than 1%. And of course, then the non-tangible things like increased worker health and safety, because there's less human intervention needed and you're keeping people away from high-risk areas. Last but not least, there are also clear sustainability benefits. As I already said, the mining company is saving fuel consumption and reducing carbon emission because the trucks can drive at constant speed, and also there are some IoT applications running like continuous monitoring of the tire pressure, which also has an impact on fuel consumption. And here again the numbers are big. They're saving up to 80,000 liters diesel per truck per year, which is resulting in a carbon reduction of 236 tons. And this is what makes mining so spectacular and exotic. All these numbers are huge.
They are, and sustainability is very important, but certainly we're seeing an increase in gas prices, unfortunately, based on that conflict in Eastern Europe. And so this is going to be something that I think, a lot of mining operations are going to be very, very focused on, because you have to be cost effective in operating these mines as well. But, one thing that I am impressed with Nokia is that just your footprint and what you've been doing within Nokia Enterprise in general with private wireless, over 400 customers with multiple private networks behind that. I think proof really comes down to actual implementation. And I think there are a lot of companies out there that are just, starting their journey within private wireless, a lot of proof of concepts and that sort of thing. But really, proof is in the deployment. And I'm wondering if you can share some additional examples of where you've helped your mining customers deploy private wireless.
Currently, we have more than 35 mining customers. We have 4 out of the big 5 multinational mining operators, and some of them are using our systems in different mines. As such, we have almost the double number of mines as we have mining customers. Actually, Nokia started pioneering private LTE in mining. Mining was probably the first vertical we went in with private wireless. It's more than 10 years ago that we did a first LTE project in the Australian Pilbara region, which is a big mining region. And then if you just look at what are the network features most appreciated by our customers, then I would say the traditional one: high bandwidth, low latency, quality of service, built-in security. But most important, and this is often forgotten, is ultra reliability. Mining is about safety, is about business continuity, and you really need a network that you can rely on for your operations. Combine this with edge computing capabilities, and I think you have a winning mix. And then the fact is that once you have this private wireless network installed, you have one single infrastructure that you can use for mission critical data applications, autonomous trucks, remotely operated machines, CCTV video streaming, push to talk, push to video communications, and a wide range of IoT, of Internet of Things applications. So if you look today, there are many mining operators, they are deploying 3 different networks. A Wi-Fi one for the data services. They have an overlay Tetra or P25 for their mission critical voice, but this can't do video or data. And then often they have a third overlay network, often proprietary, for their IoT applications. And this is one of the big advantages of private wireless. It's bringing on the same infrastructure.
You talked briefly about some of the challenges with propagation underground. I know that, in mining operations, you have both underground and open pit. Are there different deployment scenarios there, Mark?
Radio technology is often different. And you used the term exotic a few minutes ago, but I don't know that many people have heard about leaky feeders, which is a radiating cable technology that can be deployed flexibly and expanded in underground corridors. For the rest, it's mainly the radio technology. The core is the same. Interconnection with the surface network is also seamless, so you have the advantage of one single network infrastructure or one single technology that works above and underground. Another thing I have to mention, underground. Probably radio planning is much more important than on a surface mine. If you have a very symmetric pit, you could almost cover it by a few macro cells at the rim. If you're going underground, you really need to look at what is the tunnel structure, and also you may have much more effect of, for example, reflection of machines or of metal objects which are in the mine. So yes, underground is more challenging, but baseline is that it's the same private wireless 4.9G or 5G technology that can be used above and underground.
That makes perfect sense. I'm really impressed that, Nokia has been focused on this vertical for over a decade. And so I'm wondering, do you have 5 tips for, companies that are considering deploying private and just embarking on their digital transformation journey?
Pervasive and predictable wireless connectivity is key for our mining customers' digital transformation initiatives. And they're also looking at it as a foundational asset for a wide range of automation applications. But just thinking of these top 5, I would say 1, start talking with the operations people. Private wireless is not technology for the sake of technology. Remember these KPIs I mentioned some minutes ago: safety, productivity, and efficiency. So the network is really serving these means. It's not just having a nice network for the sake of having a network. And then probably the next one is, when you start deploying private wireless and building your applications, think use case and think end-to-end. If you want to improve these 3 KPIs I just mentioned, you need to work with your whole ecosystem, which doesn't only include the network vendor, but for example also the one who is supplying you with the trucks and the diggers and the shovels and with the autonomous haulage applications. And this is, for example, why we're closely working together with major mining solutions providers like Komatsu and Sandvik. Next one, and this may sound as a cliche, but if you're looking at these use cases, start with the low-hanging fruit. Don't try to boil the ocean from day one. So when I'm talking about low-hanging fruit, I'm thinking of IoT data collection for analytics purposes, which is a low bandwidth application. But if I'm looking to most of our customers, they are really looking to autonomous haulage systems, autonomous tele-remote operated mining trucks, diggers, shovels, drills. All the equipment that is currently being used is in the mining industry. And it's also very important is that you validate these solutions end-to-end. You can't just say, okay, this is my truck vendor and this is my network vendor. You need to make sure that their interoperability and the reliability end-to-end has been tested before actually deploying any of these solutions in a physical mine. And then also look beyond the pit for digitalization opportunities. Because you know that private wireless is covering many more verticals than just mining. We are doing transportation, railways, roads, ports, shipyards. And if you look to the whole mining value chain, this is what we call pit to port. Think of stockpiles, processing factories, transportation by rail and shipping. And if you include all these different use cases in your business plan, private wireless makes more sense than ever because it goes cross verticals and cross domain. I think I still owe you one, eh?
I think you owe me one more.
Then let's finish with a message from the sponsor. And I would say select a partner who has telecom and mining expertise. As I mentioned in the intro, mining is an industry with very, very specific needs and challenges. And deploying a private network requires more than just shipping boxes and connecting cables. It goes from planning, professional services, but even for doing this, you need to understand the mining business and the geography and the geology of a mine.
Yeah, you made a very important point, just the scale of it, just, not focusing just on the operation, but all the other tangential aspects, the transportation, the logistics, the inventory, rail to ship and that sort of thing. And it's a massive ecosystem. And it's really where cellular shines with respect to propagation and performance. So, Mark, this has been a great conversation. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
First, I want to thank you for the opportunity to talk about my mining vertical. I hope I got you excited by the mining topic too, because few people realize how essential this is for the world economy and even for the energy transition. Because we will need metals and minerals like copper and lithium and whatever if we want to fuel electrical vehicles and produce wind turbines. Though mining has traditionally been a conservative industry that invested relatively little in new technology, mainly because of these stringent requirements on safety and sustainability, I think in the meantime the mining sector has positioned itself at the edge of industrial transformation. And we're not only talking about Industry 4.0, but also about Mining 4.0. And it's making its entry at very high speed. And finally, in my humble opinion, mining is probably one of the most challenging verticals for private wireless. I hope I managed to explain you why. But at Nokia, as our new slogan says, at Nokia Enterprise, we're ready for anything.
Well, it sounds like it, Mark. I've learned a lot, and I believe our viewers and listeners have as well. So thank you again for a great conversation.
Thank you very much for having me.
Our thanks to Mark Jadul, Head of Marketing for Mining at Nokia Enterprise, and Will Townsend, Vice President and Principal Analyst at More Insights and Strategy, for today's discussion on private cellular networks' key role in mining. Thanks for listening to the Private Wireless podcast series from Nokia. Don't forget to subscribe and be the first to hear new episodes. If you're looking for more insights around all things private 4.9G LTE and 5G, contact the Private Wireless team at Nokia. To find us online, just search for Nokia Private Wireless and click Talk to an Expert to get in touch.